In the heart of Ireland, where the rolling hills are as ancient as the stones that crown them, whispers of a legend older than time itself still echo in the winds. This is no ordinary tale of knights and fair maidens, no. This is a story of blood, terror, and a creature so feared that even death could not hold it back. Welcome to the chilling saga of Abhartach, Ireland's very own vampire, and perhaps the most terrifying one you've never heard of. But first, let's take a step back. Vampires? We think of Dracula, of charming yet sinister figures lurking in shadowy castles. But what if I told you that long before Dracula, Ireland had its very own bloodthirsty fiend, a dwarf king named Abhartach? Now, I know what you're thinking, a vampire dwarf, haha, it sounds like the punchline to a bad joke, but trust me, there's nothing funny about Abhartach. Our story begins in the ancient land of Derry, where the hills were once ruled by petty kings and fierce warriors. Abhartach was one such king, but unlike others, he was cruel, twisted, and, well, let's just say he wasn't the type of guy you'd want to invite over for tea. He ruled his people with an iron fist, but it wasn't his cruelty that terrified them. It was the fact that he simply would not stay dead. After years of enduring Abhartach's tyranny, the people had enough. They called upon a rival chieftain, think of him as the local hero in this medieval horror story, to put an end to Abhartach's reign. And so our hero did what any self-respecting warrior would do. He slew the evil dwarf and buried him standing upright, as was the custom for those of dubious character. But, and here's where things get spooky, the very next day, Abhartach was back, demanding a tribute of blood from his terrified subjects. That's right, the guy just couldn't take a hint. No rest for the wicked, indeed. Our chieftain, clearly not one to give up easily, went back and slew Abhartach a second time. And a second time he buried him deep in the earth. But, as you've probably guessed, that didn't work either. Abhartach returned, thirstier and angrier than ever. Now at this point, our chieftain must have been seriously regretting not choosing a simple profession, like sheep herding maybe? Desperate, our hero sought out the advice of a druid, the go-to guys for all things supernatural. The druid revealed that Abhartach wasn't just any old undead, he was one of the Niamh, a walking dead, a vampire. The only way to truly put him to rest was to slay him with a sword made of yew wood. Bury him upside down, that's right, head down, feet up, vampires really hate that, and cover the grave with heavy stones and thorns to keep him from rising again. And so, armed with his new knowledge and a yew sword that would make Buffy proud, the chieftain confronted Abhartach one last time. The battle was fierce, but in the end the chieftain prevailed. He buried Abhartach as instructed, upside down under a pile of stones with thorns surrounding the grave, and this time, Abhartach stayed buried. Or did he? They say that even today in the quiet hills of Derry, Abhartach's grave remains, covered in heavy stones, and locals avoid the spot just in case the bloodthirsty dwarf decides he's had enough of his eternal slumber. After all, you can never be too careful with a vampire, especially one who just doesn't know when to quit. So, the next time you hear about vampires, remember, long before Dracula, there was Abhartach, the dwarf who really knew how to hold a grudge. Sleep tight, and maybe keep some yew wood by your bed, just in case.